ban, but interesting. Oh, it's not. So we see a Zeri tonight from Scout. Zeri is open and available. FPX must have something prepared. But do EDG go in a different direction? They actually go for the Kalista. I mean, in all honesty, we normally see Kalista and Zeri banned, right? 100% presence so far. Kind of crazy both are open, but this really changes things up.
It's interesting because it is LWX's second most played for Viper. Not as many games in the split, but still, we're just going a complete different direction, as you said. 12-15, an Aatrox ban there, Orcs 2, Nara against Summit, Talia, like, we are getting some small adaptations. As for FPX taking away the Wukong, now we're going to look and see what they pick up in the bottom lane, because Zeri is open, as you said, but LWX, we pulled out his Lucian. However, today he is going to take the OP.
Yeah, I don't think you want to take Lucian Nami, because Kalista Renata was actually a lane that was specifically taken to counter Lucian Nami. So instead, FPX go for the scaling option. They go for the lane where if Zeri gets 3 items, that might just be it. But EDG quickly lock in that Kalista Renata. Something we've seen less of. Both did get toned down a bit. Renata lost some base health. Kalista lost some AD. I think it was AD per level on this patch, but still a strong lane. And Scout does get that Sylas. She denied the Azir, but he has that answer. And now for FPX, do you opt to take a support here, or do you match the mid laner and give care a good matchup? Ari is open and available, but it looks like the Akali. So then we talked about being good into Sylas. He's bringing it out again.
And again, we talked about care popping off on this. What an adaptation from this mid player is. He pulls it out after just stomping OMG in Game 5 with the exact same. So, Orcs, we don't have any supports on FPX's side. We still need a top laner. Run me through a little bit about their ban strategy against EDG when EDG are in a similar boat with no jungle top.
Yeah, I think you just start to target away those junglers. Vi going to be taken off the card, something that we actually saw JJ playing a lot, but Junjia definitely able to bring it out. And then for EDG, I feel like maybe you start looking a bit more into, well, support on top of the ones left open. I feel like maybe if you're concerned about something like a Yuumi, I mean, they just ban it as they say it, that can be taken away. Maybe a Lulu could be another option. And just thinning away these picks that are maybe going to make things hard in terms of the scaling. Like if you add Zeri Yuumi, I said 3 items would be an auto win. It would secure that so heavily if you manage to take both of those. And also, the fact Zeri is so safe with a dash over walls makes Yuumi safe in combination.
And there's a lot of dashes on this team, Orcs, as well. I feel like giving Yuumi over to any of these picks is going to be massive. So with a good ban away, FPX respond with the vibe with the Renekton. Renekton also something we've started seeing a little bit more here in our playoffs so far. And as that gets taken away, it looks like they're trying to give Summit a safe pick here on 4 Orcs by the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you take last pick for top. I think it makes the most sense here. Like, you already know the support matchup, so you can pick whatever for Hung in this situation and then give counter pick to Summit. So the fact, taking away the Renekton, we have seen this blinded a bit more. In fact, I was watching the LCK this morning. We saw a blue one, I think, for the Renekton, but we do get the Lulu ban come out, so thinning away those enchanters. Another question is going to be, what would FPX want to take for Hung? I could see Hung going in a range of directions in terms of supports. You could pick something that is able to roam very effectively and just allow LWX to farm it up. Because I think you don't win the 2v2. I don't think there's any support you can take to win that 2v2 against Kalista Renata. And Pyke is the ideal pick. Both now your AD carry and support are mobile, kind of similar to Ezreal Rakan in terms of that safety net, but also it's a heavy roamer, right? You don't want to play for the 2v2, you want to play for the map.
It's insane mobility so far on FPX. The thematic continues here for the red side. As for EDG, walk me through a little bit of the response. We talked about Flandre's Vladimir coming into today, but it's very specific for him as Junjia, who's been so aggressive in the early bot lane. It feels like the Trundle is the perfect setup there.
Yeah, Trundle really powerful pick into things like the Wukong, because Wukong can't duel you in the early game. You just chomp him down, steal his AD, bully him. Junjia's been leaning on that heavily. Not sure what Flandre will bring out in this situation. You know, it is a blind. A lot of the pool's been thinned. He is actually going to go for that Kennen. So, you know, we had all the energy champions buffed on this patch, but for a lot of them, it was the energy that they had, like things that gave them energy back, like Akali Shroud or Lee Sin got lower energy costs in his recast. For Kennen, they said his energy is fine. We're just going to buff his damage. And, you know, I was like, whoa, Kennen already does a lot of damage. You've seen him one shot. So he is, you know, seeing a lot more play since that change. Summit actually goes for the Gragas as an answer. So something that has a lot of disengage power. If the Kennen does try to get on you, you can belly boop him. You can knock him away with a cask. But also when it comes to those fights, right, it can make it so difficult for Kalista to play. Because if you see that cask coming towards you, you know, it can be a hard skill shot to dodge away from, even with your dashes.
So run me through then the mindset from FPX, because it's a very peculiar composition. We have a lot of angles here, Orcs, and we have a lot of dive and all in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be weird. I'm gonna be honest. Sorry, I feel
You're gonna be weird.
they're being a bit weird. I feel like, you know, they have a lot of dive threat on that composition, but Kalista Renata is fantastic against that. I actually feel like the way the team fights play out, I favor the side of EDG. Even though they have that Zeri, even though they have that pick that is so broken, that scales so well, I think that EDG's composition is more cohesive, and they have that strong bot lane to play through. But, you know, I think the win con for FPX is if you snowball the Akali, or if you use the Pyke to get, like, to roam and get the whole map ahead. Maybe if you get some resets, or Lwx can just pop off. Those are, like, the win cons, but I think for me, EDG have put something together which makes more sense. And if you're trying to dive a Kalista with a Renata, that is actually very hard to do. Pyke as well. You don't get the reset if the bailout is there, you know? So you could just end up losing all the momentum in the fight and going down. So I think EDG have an edge here, but FPX definitely have options.
But the biggest thing here is that our world champion squads are in a pretty big predicament. I told you guys I wouldn't give you a spoiler before, but now I'm ready to spoil it all. EDG and FPX, world champions of 2021 and 2019. FPX have changed their roster a lot, but they've still got Lwx. For EDG, it is the same world championship roster with currently Junjia on the bench. As we head into round 2 of playoffs, whoever loses this matchup will not be going to Worlds this year. They will not have enough championship points as a team like LNG have progressed and have gotten themselves locked into 40. Orcs, this is a huge deal considering right now, excuse me, it is 30 of course for LNG. Right now, both teams need a win with our top 4 already locking in regionals. It's so rough, but EDG and FPX, one of them are going home and one of them will be going up to face off against RNG. Either way, both these teams deserve to be here, and both these teams are compelling enough after what we've seen in the regular season and, of course, the first playoff series of FPX OMG.
I mean, I feel like for this FPX lineup, because it is a different lineup, it would be huge for them to make Worlds, right? But still, you know, players like Lwx, like Clid, the expectation is that they'll be able to return, right? These are storied players, and especially after the disappointment for FPX last year would be massive. But EDG, I don't hold this point because they are going so aggressive right now.
But it is against the Pyke. It's against the Pyke, Meiko. He has to flash away with the Ignite. Volley bop, it comes through from Summit. Yes, it is a bit of a good bop. Abscond of Duck from Scout onto Care. Ignite down. Care lucky to survive. This is how we start our series. No one dies, but that was a bloody fiasco.
Oh, that was a fiesta. I'm going to be real. Absolute chaos. And I thought Care was going to kill Meiko there. I saw it. I was like, oh my god, this is like the last time we played Akali against OMG when he got those early kills, the snowball impact, but not quite able to do the damage when he tried to look for Meiko. And I'm not sure what Meiko was doing. He kind of just walked in there, all the confidence in the world. And now this does change the dynamic of bot lane a little bit. It's still a stronger 2v2 for EDG, but they are down summoners, right? If you land that CC chain onto Meiko with no flash, that could be a kill.
Well, they got level 2 first, so at least for now, it's going to make it a little bit easier. Lwx walks up and gets bullied out by Viper, who decided to first pick this Kalista Orcs. And we're talking a little bit about champions, but I think that has to hold because right now, it's a very fast early game. With Junjia now vertical jungling up in the top side red, this is a deep invade.
Yeah, and notice he's taken his red, crossed over, so it's going to be a 3-buff. I don't think there's any way Clid can invade onto the enemy blue. When you look, Scout obviously already has Prio. You expect to get Prio into the Akali early, but also just the fact that Care had to reset and TP in for Prio for Flandre top. So Clid is actually going to potentially look for a gank here. But this is like the only way that FPX managed to mitigate the loss they have in the top side jungle, right? If Clid doesn't get a gank off here, he's going to go to his top side, find all the camps missing, and it's going to be a disaster. In fact, I think a ward was placed down by Care, so he knows this. So yeah, no gank comes through. Viper and Meiko respect. It's the only way in, and this is a devastating loss for the Wukong.
And let's talk a little bit about why. Scout moves on down. Hung going to spot him out at level 2, but Lwx could get slowed here. Scout walking away, so ends in nothing. But Orcs, I was going to say, with the triple summoners down the bottom lane, we've got to mention that for FPX, quadruple top. Double TP already burned out, double flash as well. Summit and Care are very vulnerable as we look at Junjia in the top side. We look at the jungler coming in as well. Summit has the body slam. And as Junjia heads into the turret with the wave pushing in, Flandre is going to rely on his CC chain, but Clid is here for the counter. Summit buying time, Pillar great. The burn down, Junjia flashes out. Summit, re-engage. First blood over to the big man with a big drink, and Summit has big action to call.
Oh, so close there. Honestly, you saw Clid waiting in the wings, and this is something Clid did so fantastically against Aki, against OMG, was he didn't have the advantage in the early game, but he put out fires across the map. A fantastic read on Junjia going for that topside dive. So he makes it a trade, and now he's going to be able to go over to his Krugs. And as much as Junjia's still in the advantage, right, he has his whole topside to clear. Oh no, Meiko.
Yeah, and it's Halo Blades with Ignite down. Bailout might save him, but will the kill eventually come through? Hung steps up and he gets it. Flushes away, but Viper, the Rand and the Bailout comes through. EDG and lane, Orcs. This is what we're talking about.
Oh, absolute disaster there. So close, and you see Hung gets the kill, then tries to E-flash out of range, but Viper still had his flash. Could have flash rendered if he needed to, but didn't. Was still in range, and we'll get a look at the top side play first. So Summit did burn his body slam earlier just to buy some time while his jungler got there, but does get it off in the end. They kill Junjia. Yes, it's a trade-off, but Clid really happy with that one considering how behind he is. But here, Meiko, no flash, as I said, put him in a dangerous position. But the shielding, the Guardian comes in, and then look, Hung E, and I think he flashes early. I think he needed to E then flash. Maybe Viper just flash rends him. But either way, Hung not able to get the kill, and that is such a disaster considering how much this Kalista can snowball.
And also, I haven't even had a chance to ask you more about EDG's comp, how this game's progressing, because we have had early summoners burnt, Meiko deciding to go walk about, you know, up the creek without a paddle, and then we've had responses, FPX burning their owners, Hung now with no summoners, but still trying to roam. While we have a bit of a breather with our 3-kill game, kicked it off our round 2 of playoffs, I didn't get to ask you whether EDG really need the snowball as well in these lanes, where they had things like the Kalista, the Sylas, heavy skirmishing, as we know from the drafts we've seen.
I don't think they strictly need the snowball. I think if the Kalista's behind a lane, that's a bit of a disaster, but they still have like the Sylas, the Kennen in the later stages. You do want the Kalista to be ahead for sure. But it's also, I feel like one of the things, if you're behind, it's not just the fact that Kalista's down, but also like Zeri being ahead, Akali being ahead. Those will be problems. And we've seen both of these teams, I mean, every team in the world is going to do better when they have an early lead, but both these teams really heavily performing better when they are ahead at 15. So I think emphasis on that is important. The problem now, though, I think without flash on Hung, you are not going to be able to 2v2 when Meiko has his flash up again. So they need outside help, but if Junjia's here as well, they don't win this 3v3.
But he's been focused for now. Good bone skill with the Phantom Dive as well.
The bailout?
Junjia just going to be dead. The bailout comes through the pillar, saving his life as Clid is over the wall. But Scout coming in with a perfect execution. Care already burning the first part. Viper's jumping on top. Hung gets Junjia. But we watch this FPX mid laner in the middle of the smoke. The last part of the ulti comes through, but the flash from Scout. He matches Absconder. Duck. Execution. And Scout does it better.
Oh, just really nice play coming out from Scout, connects with the stun, and yeah, Junjia goes down, but I think EDG is still happy with how that one played out. Oh my lord, Lwx still getting pressured so hard, and Hung hits the hook there, but it doesn't matter at this point. And you saw after that kill we saw earlier, they came back in the lane. I think Viper was a few CS ahead of Lwx when Lwx reset, but now the lead is opening up. They're losing plates. They are starting to bleed in the bot lane. And unfortunately, Clid being there just a second ago didn't actually help help them out at all.
Hasn't been able to do much apart from the top side players. We continue eyes on bottom. That's double plate for Viper and Meiko. We have a 20 CS gap as well as that wave is crushing Orcs without an AD carry in front of it. And EDG are snowballing this early game as we look again when FPX chose to engage on Junjia.
Yeah, I like the call, I like the play, but it's just unfortunately not able to get the damage down in time before the bailout comes through. And Junjia, he still ends up being dead here because he's literally trapped between a pillar and a hard place, so no way he gets out. But because Scout's able to roam down, they connect onto Care, and Care, I honestly feel like you should have gone over the wall towards your tower. Instead opts to go towards mid lane, maybe greeting so he can get there for the wave. But Scout follows, uses a flash, gets the stun. And that's the thing, is Akali has a lot of dashes, but Sylas stealing your ultimate, yeah, he's got quite a few too.
Yeah, he's got more Orcs. He's got a hell of a lot more, right? Abscond Abduct is a pain, and, you know, with that first kill as well, able to get the lost chapter, we come back, and EDG, the team that we talked about, kind of bypassing the first Herald, the first Dragon. Orcs in this game, it's going that well. The aggression keeps on coming through, that they're able to pick up the Herald as we come back from the replay with ease, it seems.
Yeah, and I mean, they already have a lead. They already have a lot of pressure in lanes. Like, top lane, Flandre has been doing a pretty good job. Got a CS lead over Summit. We've seen mid lane scouts being pretty comfortable. You know, Akali is a pick that we see really find favor around level 9 when your Q's max. So
Yeah.
I think EDG have multiple lanes they could place this Herald and play through. Bot would be an easy way to capitalize and get the gold, but I don't think you need to. I think you kind of enjoy Lwx being stuck in this lane because you can apply that pressure. You can pick up those plates for free.
We're at this point where you're just like, oh, with Bail out and with Meiko almost level 6, I wonder, even with Clid in, would it be enough? Because Junjia is also hovering the lane. The Herald we just talked about, it's a level 6 Trundle. EDG Aux, they're going to build this one up with the next wave incoming soon.
And I feel like Clid has just been having to play bot side 24/7. Like, he gets a brief reprieve where he clears his top side camps and he's back. He's back here again, trying to support. Meiko just get hit here.
Again, he's been caught a couple of times this game, but Hung takes too much damage from Viper Orcs. I guess now it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, at this point, this is one of the reasons Kalista Renata is so difficult to deal with, because neither target's easy to kill. You have to bail out for the Kalista, where she can stack up the Ren to get the takedown to bring herself back to life, but also the Fate's Call on the Renata. She's no longer vulnerable. One of the biggest issues with Renata is she's immobile. You can jump on her, you can take her out. That isn't you're not able to do that into this lane. So they do slam the Herald down bot. It does end kind of like the enclosed lane that we had between the bot 2v2, but it means that Viper is now mega snowballed and able to move out on the map. He is resetting though, an FPX figure with the bot lane not there for EDG. Maybe they can try and sneak this dragon.
But Scout is still here, so as the Absconded Duck tries to fly through, Chaos the Shuriken flip away. Just wondering as Junjia is looking ballsy at it, walking in against 4 people. Bone Skewer's there. Sending out, Hung gets it in the end. There's the lightning crash down. They're all leaning on Junjia, but it's Kara actually picks up the dragon as EDG are unsuccessful. However, the chase afterwards, as Kara has to use perfect execution to get out. Cyclone, lightning crash down, are down, and Aux, it looks like for now EDG continue the trend of not picking up that first dragon, but the gold trade is going to be coming through anyway.
Yeah, it was a good timing for FPX to pick the dragon and guarantee it. But by EDG contesting, I mean, one, Junjia could have stolen it there. If that happened, it would have been a disaster. But also, they actually force them away, and Viper picks up 2 more plates in the mid lane. This Kalista's so snowballed right now. And with the Renata to back it up, this is going to be so hard to deal with for FPX. I feel like they're getting to the point where they have to start thinking about having a numbers advantage, where they have to start thinking about cross-mapping. So I think if EDG are in a fight and Viper's there, they just win.
Well, tell me a little bit more about that, because for FPX, you mentioned that it was about kind of snowballing the Akali, you know, getting some of these lanes off the ground. That hasn't happened, and I want to ask you about more options for FPX and how they can make this this Zeri, this Akali, more relevant with the comp around them.
Yeah, well, I think the big thing with Zeri is 3 items, humongous spikes. So if you get there, even if you're behind, I think it's just like a viable Wukong. That's when your Ultra Shock laser starts doing like 700 damage. It's ridiculous.
Here we go.
Scout might be baited in.
Yeah, he will, but at least perfect execution. As you said, 1,000,001 dashes. Just as bad as watching him versus an Ahri. Scout will get out completely fine. Continue, Orcs. I know you're just finishing your point.
But I think this is a great example of what FPX should be doing. Is trying to find scenarios where they have a numbers advantage. Hung on the Pyke now with Moby Boots, great at roaming around. So just try and find opportunities where you can pick someone off and take them out. The problem is, look at what EDG are doing. They find Prio mid lane, they rotate their bot lane over. Junjia's already there, and Clid might be caught out.
Yeah, handshake down, ignite as well. Is he going to get a chance to go into the clone? Rend! Yeah, it comes through, and Viper gets a second kill. The 2v2 of EDG are gods right now.
And this is such fantastic play, because normally we see this come out later in the game when the tier 2 is available and the tier 1 is down. Is teams push up mid, they then rotate over through the enemy red side jungle aggressively, they kill anyone they see, and then they apply pressure with the wave onto the tier 2. In this situation, they're doing it on the tier 1. This is how confident they are. They're willing to push into the enemy jungle despite both mid and top tier 1 being available. And I mean, Hung bidding the ignite, I don't know why. Like, Fate's Call is there, Bailout's there. You're not killing Meiko, but whatever. He'll force him away. He'll destroy that control ward. But either way, EDG getting exactly what they want.
Maybe, because Bone Skewer as it comes through, yet again, Hung looking for Meiko. Orcs, maybe it's just a long
Look how unfazed. Look how unfazed Viper is there, right? He just keeps walking the same. He's just like, whatever. He's like, okay,
I'll take you if you want, yeah. Look, he's got an immortal shield bow, right? That's why he feels so unfazed. Now, the baby Rage Blade, the one you give to the 4-year-olds before they're ready to use the real thing. That's going to be a big item surge, yeah. And honestly, Might not be too big, but it will grow in time. And Aux with a 20 CS lead in the bottom lane with 1.5 items. I have to pause because FPX are trying to make a play, but it's because in this brush, Scout now lies. He doesn't have enough mana. He's just going to head back too. So we do have big items on the side of EDG and Aux. It's a 4,500 gold lead at 14 minutes into the game. We talked about this in our opening segment. EDG win lane win game is very much a thing. And this is even bigger than we expect. This is a more aggressive version of EDG. More aligned to the top esports that we're talking about in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, this is a reason why they are running with Junjia at the moment. I feel like the way they play around setting up those aggressive early plays has been better with him on the roster, but the lane dominance is still there. I mean, we look across the board, it's 10 CS lead for top lane where we didn't see too much attention. Scout, 25 CS up and 2 levels over Care. Viper, I mean, the CS lead is only 17, but the plate lead, you can see it in the items, and 2 items for this Kalista will be a humongous spike. So now, second Herald has been taken. They could use that on the mid lane tower to take that down. But I just think FPX, like, you have to find these alternate angles, because even though Zeri scales excellently against the Kennen, against the Renata Kalista in team fights, I think they're really going to struggle. And ADG show no signs of slowing down. Next Dragon will be an Infernal, and I'm certain they'll just be secure in that one. I don't even know if FPX will try to contest it.
Good point, right? I mean, EDG right now, you look at Viper sitting alone in the mid lane, Lwx struggling to step up as Hung and Care are in the river, but Junjia's moved into position. He's got the second Herald, the drop will be towards mid, and Viper should help get this first outer turret in the mid lane, as EDG is setting up for a second Herald. Well. Yeah, just do it themselves, right? As they should be able to get an inner here as well. Aux setting up for the dive, the potential onto FPX as Scout has stolen away the Pyke ultimate. Just wondering how far it will go. A good pillar, but EDG just take it till the end.
Yeah, they're going to charge. We'll see if they continue. They might actually be looking for the full tower. And this is damning. I mean, you have 4 members of FPX there, and they cannot defend the tier 2 mid. I think it just shows how behind they are now. They'll beeline towards that dragon. So what I want to point out is actually Care has gone for the Morellonomicon Rush. This item did get buffed to be a lot better stat-wise. But I still feel like having the morale, as much as like early Grievous Wounds is great against Viper, against Scout, I don't think it's quite as good on AP champs as like Kenpunk Chainsword was on a D champ. So Care kind of weak. Like the healing reduction is nice, but I just think FPX in general, like 5k gold deficit, that's 6% AD and AP given over. Things are gonna get so much harder, and it is a mountain soul. This Kalista already so problematic to kill. Yep. Add in that shield, add in those extra resistances, and I mean, I just think Care stands no chance. Hung as well.
And coming back to your Care point as well, Aux, we always talk about Akali, that 1-item power spike, right? That Night Harvester is so big within fights because within early skirmishes, your ability to dart around and your huge damage amplification. I like that you bring up Morellonomicon, even with the buff that we're not going to see that there from FPX. They are still going to feel quite stagnant. And with a 5k gold lead at 17 minutes, the Dragon stacking now evened out, and EDG being able to pick up both objectives so far, it looks like a very different beast from OMG, considering we are seeing a team better with their macro, better with their 5v5s, and their movement around the map right now for EDG is suppressing FPX, trying to get into their own jungle even.
Yeah, and I love EDG, how they play around this. Junjia, Meiko paired up, pushing in aggressively with the wave. And it's not about crushing the mid wave. It's about applying pressure in the top lane. So they push the wave in, move over as they were doing before, sweep out vision. And it basically means Scout can push top and not be threatened. He knows that no one will be able to get on top of him. No one will be able to make any sneaky plays. And EDG just doing a fantastic job here. And they need to do this, because I'm going to say they've taken down 3 towers so far, which is definitely fantastic. But a lot of teams tend to slow down after the outer towers are taken. They are looking at this final top tower, but keeping the momentum going important, because I mean, they're making cross-map plays here. Clid looking for Flandre.
At least getting the flash out, Clid is able to use his own ulti, so a response from FPX. As I was just laughing because Meiko used the Shurelias just to get towards topside earlier, threaten out Care, who was sitting behind the wave. And look, at least FPX getting a trade. That's the main thing here, being down Aux, but 4 turrets to 2. The gold still stands there at about 5k in a little bit. And EDG aren't slowing down. Viper is now pushing against Inhibitor turret with no Care to where Hung is. Now against Care topside. Inner turret's being threatened to.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard for Care to defend here. Akali, very little wave clear at all. 4 members once again doing that same lead up towards the top side. They don't care about the Akali being there. They just care about the tower, and it's going to be gone. Even more gold for EDG. And FPX are just watching, and And I'm even going to blame them. What can you do in this situation?
You said Orcs, wait for that Zeri 3 items, but I feel like if you wait that long...
I don't know if we'll get there. I don't know
the
if we'll get
game's
there.
gonna be over. Yeah, that is right, dude. We're at a 2 item
You need to put a mortgage on your house to get there for the end of this game. Honestly, I feel like as crazy as it sounds, you're kind of hoping people on EDG start misplaying. Maybe Hung gets some kills where he transfers the gold over and you get this big injection of cash. Because right now, this is just EDG's game.
Well, for EDG, with all the stories we've put out as Junjia just showing off against Hung, we've said that this series matters so much, and EDG have just come in laissez-faire, like, yeah, whatever, you know? They've had such a successful run towards the end of the split, and against FPX, it feels like that's continuing on. It might only be the first game of the series, but EDG are showing up with class. And I feel like internationally, Orcs, people always get upset when the defending champion isn't there to defend their title. I feel like even though we have our top 4 and they're looking likely towards Worlds with the skill class they showed in regular season, EDG want to return and defend their title after winning Worlds for the first time in the Org's like 7-8 year history.
It'd be so weird not to see them there, but that's the nature of the LPL. Such a hard region to qualify to Worlds, and especially I think this year. I mean, just our top 4, as you said, just the fact that we have RNG, V5, Top Esports, JDG. Even for those names, I don't think it's like a guaranteed thing, but like it is a hard task to ask to compete against any of those. There's still EDG and Weibo. There's still FPX. There's still LNG still in the running as of now. A lot of stacked rosters, and EDG, this would be the first step, but still going to do a lot more. But I love that their play feels like, you know, I've been saying this about FPX, I've been saying this about LNG. It feels like it's leveled up, but not so much just in playoffs with Junjia. I think the fact that they're so good with a lead, having this jungle who's being aggressive, allows them to have that advantage that they can run away with. And now, once again, leaning into the side lanes, the cast will clear out the wave, but you can see the intent for EDG. They are taking these towers time and time again.
At least FPX are trying to trade, but the problem is, as explosive cast comes out, Summit flashes from trying to defend when his team are cross-mapping right now, Orcs. We criticized FPX a little bit about their cross-maps at the start of broadcast, but with Summit burning the flash, the turret goes down anyway, even though FPX are able to get some gold back within the inner of their own.
Yeah, I think this is a good trade for FPX in all honesty, right? You trade inner for inner. The dragon was going to go down anyway, just forget that. At least it's only second for EDG. FPX having the first one helps a lot, but you're getting a bit of gold, and importantly, you have all this vision around Baron. Like, don't get me wrong, this vision is not going to last long. We're going to see EDG probably reset, head over, and sweep it. But I think FPX are doing what's right, and that's been their big difference, is that when behind, they were so atrocious at making these trades. They have bolstered that. They did better against OMG because they were behind OMG quite a lot in their series. And now try to do their best to make sure they maintain some vision over Baron, because with all the towers outside the base of FPX down, this is where it gets a bit difficult, because EDG, what else can you focus on but the Baron? You even see the pings coming out. They're going to sweep the vision out in the area. They're going to push it deeper, and they're going to try and make sure FPX don't have any vision outside their base. Once that happens, it's so hard to make it to the Baron when you could have, you know, a Kennen waiting in the brush, Scout waiting to assassinate. So the fact that FPX had all those wards down, we have to see if any of them remain. In fact, we just seen Junjia head over, and I think he swept out every single one of those wards. So you like saw them, they were littered there. Yeah, they even blue trinket the Baron, but it's been covered by control wards. So now FPX don't have the vision, but they might be looking for a pick here.
Yeah, TY to our observers as well, who made the vision go dark once again for FPX as they hover on the outskirts. Junjia with one last ward to take away from his bounty so far. There's Hung and Clid positioned for an angle of their own. EDG just hover on back, and right now, Care has the push in the bottom side, so at least FPX aren't getting threatened with all 3 waves. But Orcs look at top side, look at the mid wave coming in to match. Right now, EDG feeling confident as explosive cast the flash away. Getting Meiko's summoner spell here is more than you'd expect of FPX with the pace the way he's going.
Oh, and Scout could be in some trouble here.
Got Banshees, got Crown. Both are now down. Onto Hung. Bone Skewer there as well, but the damage out of Sylas. X marks the spot. Taking down the user is insulting. Scout now with the reset as Clid runs away, but execution range. Scout enough as Flandre comes in to finish off the kill. And just as FPX looked like they found an inch, you know what? EDG run that golden mile once again.
Oh, and I mean, I just think they had no chance of killing Scout. He even had a stopwatch as well. The Crown coming in clutch, denying the damage. And I was even going to say, FPX are doing a good job of trying to get some wards down. Hung was clearing them out. They even got the flash from Meiko. And then they overstep. They overstep, they go too far, and now they're going to lose the Baron. That's exactly what EDG need to start cracking open the base, taking those inhibitor towers. We see Care pushing in the side lane. For 2-level disadvantage? No way. There's no way you fight him. And here, we'll get the replay. So the Crown means Clid can't initially put the damage down. And then here, Scout is just like, no, I am going to kill you. Actually stuns him to stop Hung from getting the stun in return, and then just goes aggressive. And it's just able to do so much damage that it's just, there's no kill potential for FPX. They're too far behind.
I just love that Scout using the ultimate onto Hung. It's not even BM. It is just such a good play as he sits out the 1v4. And EDG showing us that gold lead from early game was no joke, Aux. Scout has gone full defensive as well. We saw Crown, we saw Banshee Bell in that last play. He now has the Zhonya's Aux. We know what this game's about. It's about Viper. It's about Flandre's big ultis. Scout is going to be the Wambulance that runs into FPX.
I mean, Scout is just going to be unkillable. Like, he got him.
Can't believe it. Hijack is available. Level 16 on the Sylas. Hung gets him in. And this time as he goes gold, no. Hung is denied. As Clid is going to be the next target. Care jumping in. There's the bailout there. Scout looking for the reset.
Maybe not that deep.
But he's shut down, and this time the ambulance was indeed for him. He didn't pay his bills, and unfortunately, the rest of EDG couldn't bail him out.
Well, they're looking for something more here. This is the window.
But it's onto Viper as he runs on in. Hung's ulti is down. There's a flash from Summon, but bailout onto this Kalista, who's still so healthy, dodging away. Viper lives on in. There's Care trying to jump in the back line. They just want to kill Viper, but they got to get through the entourage. It's like going to a Lady Gaga concert. Look at the security. She's getting away after us, says FPX is Hung. No, the first security guard takes away the adoring fan as Clid goes down next as well. No one will touch Lady Viper Gaga in this first game.
And it just looked like that was the window for FPX to get back in the game. They actually managed to kill Scout, full of overconfidence with those defensive items. Gets taken down, but Viper refuses to go down. FPX to the best, but the best is not enough in this game, and now they should just be able to close out the game. That being said, looks like they're going to respect the respawns and back away. Not quite going to finish it out yet, but still, 2 inhibitors down. The damage has been done.
I'm surprised, Aux, you didn't say FPX's poker face was showing yet again after that one. But look, EDG just so aggressive.
I need to warm up my wit, I'm going to be honest, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
Bit early in the morning to be that clever.
You and I did a segment in like week 8, week 9. No one really noticed, but I'm going to pause on that because someone has just walked into certain death. The Dragon's up. He's trying to find an angle, but he's already dead. Hung with the bone skill, but that's denied too. And FPX have already run out of options. Right now, they're so far in debt. They're trying to escape the country. EDG, they're going to get this Dragon for free. And in 27 minutes, I don't think we've seen as big of a stomp out of EDG in the past couple of weeks as we have right now against FPX, who transgressed over OMG in the first match.
I mean, this is just brutal. This is just brutal, honestly. And now, once again...
1v1. That's what happens when you put a
Kennen
forfeit.
Totally needed damage buffs, by the way. Like, this champion already one-shot you. Care's looking for him.
But he's going to get 1v1 too. He doesn't even need the ulti. Next stun comes through. Flandre gets help from Junjia, excuse me. As Lwx goes to shut down, but Hung in to help out. Junjia is a 2-item Trundle with Warmogs. As he runs on in, at least Death from below gets the trade. FPX gets something off.
Doing a bit of trolling. I feel like Viper and Meiko, I mean, Meiko's done some trolling this game as well with that level 1, but Viper's just like, guys, can we not? You
know, Lwx is a Zeri, and there's Viper. That's cheating, bro. 4-0-3. This game is in the toilet. Let's be real. FPX right now are getting these trades because EDG just don't care. Or that is the level of disrespect we come in with game 1, where EDG have stomped over them in the first 15 minutes of the game.
Hey, but we've reached it, right? The 3 items, every power spike. Yay. I'm not convinced at this point, but if it's going to start getting better, it's probably now. At least Lwx getting some gold in. Those Ultra Shock lasers going to do damage, but I think, as you said, this game is just too hard from this point. I mean, even the double Mountain Dragons, that's 18% armor and MR. You got a Wit Send on Viper. Great against the magic damage across the board from FPX, from the Gragas, the Akali, and the Zeri. But also, Scout with his tank build has so many resists.
It just jumps on in. He can do that, right? As you said, Zonya's going to be used. All 3 items are down, but Scout at full HP as Flandre flashes in for the lightning rush, and everybody's down. Care running back on into the smoke, but Scout still finds him. Meiko lucky to be alive with the Fate's Call. He's out and saved. Viper runs forward as the unit he was in game number 1. And this being a playoff series, this being our world champions going head-to-head as Viper dodges the body slam. This man knows no defeat against Lwx, against another world champion. He isn't even sweating. Give EDG a real challenge in game 2, or this is going to be over fast.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you gave it with the Kalista. It meant that you couldn't take the Lucian army yourselves, the lane that we've seen FPX lean on. The bot 2v2, they got decimated, right? The roams couldn't come out, they couldn't work, and it felt like even if they had managed to mitigate those early disadvantages, I didn't really see the cohesion in FPX composition. It didn't make sense to me. I feel like Kalista Renata is so well equipped to deal with these dive threats. So, you know, I think bit of a draft mistake for me, I'm going to say ultimately in terms of FPX, but I still think it's not just about draft, right? The gameplay was there as well. EDG's bot lane, fantastic. Junjia, not the best in terms of scoreline, but doing what he needed to set up that 2v2.
True. I mean, the 2v2 being a success again is exactly what we saw in some of our clips in the opening segment, Aux. It was Junjia coming through with his aggression, Viper and Meiko set up for success, and in the 2v2, we talked a lot about their summoners being burnt, Meiko face-checking at level 1. It's so incredible to me that EDG punished that almost 1-for-1. Didn't really mean much in the grand scheme of the lane.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there was a lot of things that went wrong. I feel like for the side of FPX, as you know, as we said, start and draft, but I feel like so many little moments where you're like, okay, if this went differently, like that engage that Hung tried to go for onto Meiko, where it was like the flash was a bit of a mistake and it was down to like those little bits of health. But I think this is kind of what I mean when I see like the team has a draft disadvantage, is that if you have a strong draft, then you know, you can make a couple of mistakes and still be okay. When you have a draft like FPX's, you make like 1 or 2 mistakes and that might be it. So I just think it was a bit too much of a disadvantage, a bit too many mistakes. All this snowballed together in cohesion, and we see the end result is an absolute pop-up performance from Viper. Flandre as well, doing a lot of that damage in lane, I fear, but like when it came to team fights, he was just one-shotting people.
Yeah, agreed. Like the Viper mechanic's insane. I think for EDG, just to take a step back, this was such a fun early game to watch and cast, because the first 10 minutes were so back and forth. It was like, okay, we're really going to try and force action. But EDG, like that mechanical diff we talked about coming into today, the players like Flandre, Scout, and Viper all hitting their lane so hard. That's what we wanted to see, right? We're a little bit skeptical with EDG being in the middle in some of their series this split, but god damn, as we look at people like Viper, we just remember the EDG that hit its highest capacity and the reason why they are in the top 5 in the LPL this split.
And I'm gonna be real, I could see this draft being completely different, right? If you pick like a support that can scale for Lwx. I know Lulu and Yuumi were banned, but you could have taken them in like the first rotation. If you pick a composition that can really set up for Lwx, like Lwx did, considering how rough the lane was, he did fine in terms of like himself. He just never got a window to pop off. True. I think if you play for the Zeri, if you pick the Zeri, set a comp up for it, this could have really weird, because like if your Zeri is like skating around with a Yuumi attached, how is Kalista ever doing anything late game? Like how are you supposed to approach when she's 10 times faster than you and can shoot you with a massive laser that does 10 billion damage? So yeah, I've hit on it many times. We'll be going into game 2 after the break, where hopefully we see FPX bounce back and offer a bit more of a challenge.
Let's hope. Let's throw to that break, because EDG are on a tear, and if it's going to be like this for the rest of the series, guys, you better plan your dinner reservation for 9 p.m. We'll see you after this.